that leads us into part 2 of today's show, Trevor, and that gets into part of this conversation is about game wreckers. And scheme is great, and you've got to do that. You've got to have good scheme. You got to be coached well. Good offensive coordinators, and I include Mike Denbrock in that conversation. There's different aspects of putting a game plan together. One is, okay, let's find where they're vulnerable. But the other part, and this to me should be the number one thing, is, okay, who are our best players, and what do we got to do to get our best players to football? That should be the number one focal point. And then within that, you then go after, okay, how can we then take our best players and things we like to exploit where they're weaker? Or sometimes it's, hey, how can we use their strengths against them? They're very confident in its cornerback. They just lock him up on our best player. So I'll give you an example. We had a game when I was at Duquesne. Can't remember who it was against, but they basically were just going to take their best corner and a safety and put them over top of our fastest, most explosive receiver that they thought was a kid named Yarden Brantley. So we figured that out in the first quarter. Like wherever Yarden went, they were going to have that stack look, corner and a safety over top. So we started saying, okay, where do we want the ball to go? And then we would utilize Yarden and put him wherever we needed to put him to then open up an opportunity. So we knew if we put him here, we run like a double post. We know that they're both going to run with our slot post the yard, and we're going to bang the outside post behind it. We wanted to run some other kind of in cut. We just run Yarden off on a seam and bring it under. I mean, if we wanted to get a front side combo going, we'd put Yarden backside and they'd go backside. And that's what they were going to do. Now, D1 coaches aren't that stupid and they don't do things like that, but they will say, hey, look, we like our best guy. We're going to trail him, or we're going to do this, or we're going to play this aggressive coverage. It's okay. That's something that they think they're good at. How can we use that to our advantage? Okay, cool. We can get that guy to bite down, and then that's going to open up some stuff over here. So there's things like that. But at the end of the day, it also comes down to you've got to get your top players in position to be successful, and those guys have to play better and have to play well. And so you need some guys, as we've talked about, Trevor, and this has actually not been a problem for Notre Dame. This is one of the few things the Notre Dame offense has done pretty well so far this year, is you need your game wreckers to step up and be game wreckers. And that's actually, as you were discussing earlier, that's actually something that the Notre Dame offense has been doing a pretty good job of this year. Riley Leonard hasn't been doing that in the throwing game a whole lot, but he's been doing a lot in the running game. Jeremiah Love's been doing that. Jadarian Price has been doing that. And that's got to continue, right? Love and Price and Riley in the run game have got to get going. But there's some other aspects of this that I think are worth talking about when it comes to game wreckers, Trevor. And, I want to start with up front. Like, that's where it's got to start. Somebody up front that hasn't been playing well needs to say, okay, I gotta step up and really dominate this game, because the one fear that I have in this game is that the offensive line gets whipped and Stanford's able to create enough inefficiency that Notre Dame struggles to move the ball, and heaven forbid has a couple bad turnovers that give Stanford points. And now all of a sudden, this game that they've got no chance being in, not just winning, Stanford shouldn't have a chance of being in this game. They should not. But that's also true in 2022 when they beat you. And so you're going to need somebody, whether it's Anthony Knapp taking that big step in this game and shutting down David Bailey in the pass rushers, whether it's Rocco Spindler or Sam Pendleton saying, hey, run behind me, whether it's Emil I don't know who it is, or if it's just the line as a whole. I prefer that it kind of be the line as a whole. This has got to be the number one game wrecker in this game, is that unit has to come out and maybe look, there's a lot of people that think some of those guys should get benched. There's a lot of people talking about how they're what's actually holding the offense back. I'm one of them. Okay, fine. You want to hear that? Get upset about that and go kick somebody's butt? Cool. I'll say it every week if that's what motivates you. Whatever your motivation is, or if it's just pride in the tradition of offensive line play in Notre Dame, whatever your motivation is, find it as a unit, tap into it, and go out there and dominate. Because when this offensive line plays well, and we saw it against Purdue, we saw it late in the fourth quarter against A&M, where the O-line really started to kind of feel themselves a little bit, and they just took it right to Texas A&M. When this line plays well, this offense is really good. The problem, Trevor, it's just been in spurts. It's been a drive or two here, a drive or two there. They've got to do it consistently. And so that's my number one game record right there. Is it needs the Notre Dame offensive line needs to have a breakout moment. And when Billy Schrouth comes back, I want there to be some tough decisions about, okay, who do we take out? Because we're playing at a really high level. That's what my hope is when we talk about that is this offensive line. It's got to be your number one game record. Because if they play well, the backs are going to take the game over. I mean, there's no question. Play well, let those athletes take over. That's really the one key when it comes to just really wrecking this game for the Notre Dame offense.
Everything that we've talked about from a skill set standpoint for Notre Dame, the receivers getting open more, Riley Leonard pushing the ball down the field, using post-snap switches, getting your game wreckers into a rhythm in 4 and 24 in the backfield is all dependent on the play up front. So I don't have much more to add there. I agree with you 100%. And I know this is what you mean. When we mean a breakout moment, we mean a 60-minute moment, right? Like we mean it's not first 2 drives, they're lights out. And then from the second quarter until the end of the third quarter, assignments are being missed, pass protection kind of takes a step backwards. And then the fourth quarter, they turn it back on. Consistency for the offensive line to me is going to be a huge indicator of if they had a breakout performance, and then continue to build on that and continue to refine that performance and get even better and better and better. And Notre Dame's offense, to your point, is going to become a very, very lethal part of this team, but it all starts up front. So somebody's got to step up. Ideally, it's multiple people, and they start pushing the ball consistently, and it starts up front. I agree.
Can't just be, right? I mean, this is the big game. Everything we talked about earlier, Trevor, when it comes to the skill players, it's a similar situation. Is you need the skill players from Notre Dame to step up and on the outside and say, hey, we're welcome to the party, right? Like, you ever seen the movie Die Hard? One of my favorite scenes is when he throws that guy out of the thing and he shoots up that cop's car, the guy from Family Matters. He's like, welcome to the party, pal. You know what I mean? It's like one of my favorites. It's like, that's what I feel about the Notre Dame receivers. You know what I mean? Like, if they step up and it's like Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and Riley Leonard are kind of like, welcome to the party, pal. You know what I mean? Like, about time you guys showed up. And I don't care if they show up late. I just care that they show up. We need to see a couple of these guys go off. And honestly, I'm at the point now where I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Jaden Greathouse. I don't care if it's Bo Collins. I don't care if it's Chris Mitchell, Jaden Harrison, KK Smith, Jaden Thomas, Dion Colsey, Micah Gilbert, Cam Williams, Logan Saldate. Did I get everybody? Jordan Faison. Do I have everybody covered? I literally don't care who it is. I don't. Leo Scheidler, Alex Whitman. I don't care who it is. They need a couple guys to really step up and raise their level of play, because I'm hearing a lot of things. Well, this guy's not running hard because of, he's not getting targeted. Okay, fine. If you're not running hard because you're not getting targeted, sit down by me, and I'm going to put someone in there that will gladly run hard and play, because they'd rather be out there doing that than sitting on the bench. Look, that's no. And hey, maybe if you were running better, he'd be getting you the ball more. Maybe if you were running better routes, he'd be getting you the ball more. So there's a lot of different things that I see to say, listen, all the excuses in the world, you guys got to step up and raise your level of play. And if the quarterback's not getting you the ball, then the staff can then deal with that. This is my whole thing, is I can't deal with the quarterback, quote unquote, quarterback issue until the O-line plays better and you guys start getting more separation and you guys start doing a better job running your routes. Do that, and then I can say, okay, look, I have video evidence, coach. The guys are getting open, or we're giving them time. Quarterback's not making the plays. Or maybe, just maybe, if you did your job and you did your job, the quarterback will do his job and the offense will be rolling, right? Like, that's kind of where I'm at with this, Trevor. I need to see guys step up and thrive. That's my thing. I don't care who it is. I don't care how it works. I mean, there's some things I like that are sustainable, but I want to see at least one or two receivers that come out of this game with a little bit of chip on their shoulder to say, hey, listen, we're pretty good. Because I know this group thinks they're very good, but they don't play like a real confident group. I think in here they think, but there's all these excuses for why they're not playing well. I want to see them come out and play well. Now, if I was a betting man, I'd probably put money on Bo Collins and Jaden Greathouse, because they've been the two that have flashed the most during the season so far. But if it's Chris Mitchell, cool. let's roll. If it's KK Smith, let's do it. If it's Jaden Harrison, Jordan Faison, Jaden Thompson, I don't care. Somebody's got to step up and not just make a couple plays, but step up and say, hey, I'm going to dominate this football game, because if a receiver or two steps up and starts making a ton of plays, then all of a sudden you got to look at this team very differently. And it's going to make them a lot harder to defend.
I want to see a wide receiver step up and kind of take ownership of, yo, get me the ball. I'm the guy. Look my way. Third down, look my way. Red zone, look my way. We got to drive down the field. Make me your first read, right? That's what I want to see, because there's been moments, there's been some. Louisville, you can make the argument it was Jaden Greathouse. Against Texas A&M, Bo Collins had a couple of big catches late in the game, but it hasn't been consistent. It hasn't been, it could be me. And at this point, it could be any pass catcher, to your point. If it's Mitchell Evans and he finally starts turning it on, it could be Mitchell Evans. If Cooper Flanagan comes back healthy, it could be Cooper. If Eli Raridon starts coming into his own in the passing game, it could be him. I don't care who it is, to your point, but I just want somebody to step up and almost have that Mitchell Evans mentality from the 2023 season in that 5-game stretch that he put together, because it was no secret where Notre Dame was trying to get the ball. And he was still, I'm your guy. You make a subpar throw to me, I'm going to reach a big bear paw up there and snag it one-handed in the middle of the Ohio State game. I know a safety is going to be over top of me in the seam. Hit me anyways. I'll take a shot. I'll catch it. Doesn't matter. You need somebody to step up and help, one, build the confidence of your quarterback, and two, build the confidence in the receiver room, because it's a domino effect, right? You see one guy start making plays, and you have a full room full of talented guys saying, I can be that guy. I can go out and make some plays like that. So it needs to be somebody stepping up for sure.
I like that you brought up the tight ends, because that's it too. But I do think at some point in time they do need receivers to step up and make plays.
Yes.
100%. Now, speaking of game records, before we move on, I would like to see them do more with the running backs in the pass game. We've seen it here and there. I would like to see that be more part of their wrecking the game a little bit. I'd like to see some things out of empty with the backs, where they kind of have some design quick game or screens, or even some deep shots with the backs, some things out of your base personnel where you're getting the backs more out of the ball. But them dominating in the throwing game against Stanford is not something that's a needle mover for me. It's great for the offense that they do that, but that's not a sustainable way of beating teams week after week after week. It's got to be a complementary piece to the other pass catchers going off. That's something that I wanted to make a note of too. You need to see that. And I don't know who those guys are going to be. And then the final one for me is Riley Leonard's got to finally kind of put it all together. We've seen everything he needs to do as a quarterback, he's done in 2024. Everything. He just hasn't done it all together. There's some games where he's running at a high level and making great decisions in the running game. There's other games where he's making really good decisions on certain parts of the pass game, where he's getting those like Miami of Ohio is a great example of. He's doing a great job of reading the drop back stuff and getting the ball down the field, and not just the go balls, which he had a 38-yard touchdown pass. He had 3 deep balls that resulted in pass interference penalties on the defense. But then he had 2 great jobs where he read backside to his third read and threw a backside route. But then he misses like real simple quick game stuff, either missing 2 early routes where he just sails the ball over a guy's head, not seeing the easy entry out cuts from the slot where it's like, dude, it's there. I don't know why you're looking away from it. And then there's other games where he's doing that stuff really well. Purdue, he did that stuff really well, but he wasn't seeing the downfield stuff, and so it's like, dude, I've seen you do it all, but you haven't done it all in the same game. He's got to put it all together. And if he can, he can't do that. Well, I've seen him literally do everything he needs to do to run this offense effectively. But the offense can't be effective if most of that's not happening at the same time. And I'm hoping that the first 5 games, getting a chance to kind of come out of the break, self-scout yourself. The coaches have self-scouted you. Hopefully they have a better feel for what he's good at, what he's not good at, and then he can come out and get rolling. Because I'm telling you, if Riley can kind of put it all together of not what he did at Duke, just what we've seen him do at different spots at Notre Dame, put all that together into one performance, then this offense goes off. And this is the perfect time to do it because you're playing a team that's just not good at stopping the passing game. I mean, it's as simple as that. But hey, at least they're not good at getting pressure on the quarterback either. You know, there's that. So that's what I want to see Riley kind of take this game over, more so with his arm than his legs. That's my final, and that's not a prediction. That's more of a wishful thinking or a hoping that that's the final game record that Riley Leonard. If Riley Leonard has 8 yards rushing in this game and has over 300 yards of offense, I'd much rather see that than he has 300 yards of offense and it's like 150 rushing, 150 passing against a team that's just not very good, for being honest.
Yeah, the way that I look at it is nothing that Riley Leonard does against Stanford with his legs is going to show me anything new. It's not going to show, oh, he is a dynamic runner. It's like, yeah, we know that.
He did it against A&M and Louisville. I don't need to, you know what I mean? I don't need to see it against Stanford and, you know, right.
Right. But based on Stanford's makeup as a pass defense, got to take advantage of it. Because, Brian, to your point, if Notre Dame and if Riley Leonard doesn't, we start having very serious conversations around this is just what it's going to look like this year. So I think being able to take advantage of Stanford's weaknesses in the pass defense is almost a must. I agree that it's wishful thinking, but it's going to be time for Riley Leonard to go out and put together his first cohesive game of the season. And yeah, I know there's some people that are out there saying, "Oh, it's too late. It's too late." No, not necessarily. Notre Dame still has the bulk of their season left. So I will say it is, like I said yesterday, coming up on that time because I don't want to be having this same conversation going into Virginia, and I don't want to be having the same conversation going into USC. But Riley Leonard has the opportunity to go out and put together a really cohesive game, start getting into a rhythm with his receivers, with his tight ends, open up the offense. And I'm really, really hoping to see that because, again, if Riley Leonard can go out and pass for over 230 yards in a game and not make any turnovers and he's still somewhat effective but turns more into a complement in the run game than the focal point of the run game, I am going to be extremely happy Saturday evening. But I got to see it first because as of right now, it is just wishful thinking.
If you had to make a prediction, Trevor, and I'm putting you on the spot because I did not say this to you. If you had to make a prediction of a skill player that has a breakout game-wrecking performance whose name is not Riley Leonard, whose name is not Jeremiah Love, and whose name is not Jadarian Price, who would that be? It's a little fun one. And again, I didn't give him a heads up on this because I just kind of just popped in my – it's not even like I'm setting you up. It just kind of popped in my head. Who would you want that to be?
Honestly, I'm going to say Jaden Greathouse for a multitude of reasons. One, I think he's one of the younger guys that can provide a spark. We've talked nothing about younger guys providing that spark on defense. And outside of Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, there hasn't been that on the offensive side. There's been spurts. But I think Jaden Greathouse, I think he's really good after the catch, better than what I think some people anticipate him being. And then you go back to the spring. I know we're really far removed from it, but he was that guy that was lining up first for every drill. He was that leader of the receiving room, whether it was from a vocal standpoint or from a lead by example standpoint. And so if he comes into his own and starts making plays after the catch, and I'm not saying he has to go score 2 touchdowns, but I would just like to see a receiver stat line that says, 7 catches for 86 yards and maybe 4 or 5 of those are for third down conversions. And, so I think Jaden Greathouse is one of the guys that can hold the keys to opening up this room, which I would love nothing more to see. That'd be my answer for you. What say you, Brian?
Well, you stole my answer. That's why I wanted to kind of give you a chance first because I didn't want to say my answer because I had, just in case I stole yours. But no, I was kind of leaning towards, like I said earlier, Bo or Jaden, just because they're the most known commodities. I'll be honest, I'm hoping that somebody that we're not talking about steps up. Like I'm hoping a Chris Mitchell. I'm hoping that a KK Smith. I'm hoping that one of the people that is geared towards speed and big playability is that guy. But if I had to pick someone, that's okay. I can't take your guy. I'd go Bo Collins. Just I like the matchups of him outside. If Notre Dame's able to give the quarterback time, I think there's some big play opportunities he can have in this game. That would be my other prediction. If I couldn't go with Jaden because you took him, I'd probably go with Bo. But I would not be opposed because I think we've seen enough from Jaden. He's had some moments. I mean, look at his first quarter against Louisville; he was great. or no, excuse me. No, it's Louisville. They had the same touchdowns against Louisville, correct?
Yeah.
Their second touchdown was against Louisville. I keep the back-to-back red and white opponents with similar uniforms is jacking me up.
Yeah.
But the touchdown pass against Louisville, he had the big play across the field on the scramble, and we saw him make some clutch third down plays against Texas A&M. We've seen Bo have his moments. It'd be nice if because I feel like they're both kind of close to breaking out. If you could then one of your Z's kind of steps up and gives you something, then I'd feel really good about where they are as an offense. So that's something I'd like to see.